Hi guys, Aaron here and welcome to the workshop. In one of my previous videos I've shown you a first glance at my new Eagle AXS electronic drivetrain for the mountain bike, which I'm going to use at the races. And unfortunately, because I was traveling and because of the weather also, I wasn't really able to test it properly. But there was one thing that I was very curious about. Now if you watch my channel, then you know that I'm not much of a weight weenie, to be honest. I don't really measure things and compare weights because I'm more interested in other stuff. But for a cross-country mountain bike, weight certainly is a big factor. So what I was curious about is the weight of the mechanical group set versus the weight of the electronic group set. And normally I wouldn't really do that, but I found on field that the rear mech is quite heavy, to be honest, because it's a very bulky unit with all the motors and two clutches, and it's a complicated stuff. So of course it's not going to be as light as the mechanical. So what is the real difference? To get to this real difference, I haven't decided to measure the individual components, but rather to measure everything that you really need to get the bike going and working and shifting. So before I installed the electronic group set, I measured those components. You will be able to see the weight of that now. And now, before I talk about the weight of the mechanical group set, I want to point out all the features that are the same, or where can the weights actually differ. So the crankset, the one you get with the group set, is a standard non-power meter crankset with the new dub axle. This of course is going to be a fair amount lighter than my power meter crankset because of, well, no electronics and the direct mount ring, but that's not really the point of comparison here, because I need the power meter for my training and racing. Then the other stuff that's the same. The cassette, exactly the same, apart from the color. This one has this new oil slick anodizing, which I think looks much better on my bike. I bought the gold one because I thought that it would be a cool contrast between the black and the gold on the cassette, but in the end I haven't ended up liking it all that much. Same for the gold chain, it's exactly the same in construction. The one you get with the group set has the same oil slick color as the cassette. Now I have a black one on, exactly the same, doesn't matter. So these things are no different. The mech, of course, and the shifter. Well, the mech is going to be lighter on the mechanical because, well, obviously it has no electronics. On the other hand, the shifter is going to be heavier because there are mechanical parts inside, and you can feel a substantial difference between the two. The other one is just more or less a plastic electronic switch. So there's going to be some difference here. And of course, what people fail to take into consideration is the weight of the cables, because on this mountain bike you only have a rear mech and it's routed completely internally through the frame. And if you go back all the way to the rear mech, it's a pretty damn long cable, and it's also housed, it also has full length outer housing, so that's going to be some weight for sure. So what the difference actually is in weight. I've measured all things out as I've laid down here, and the difference is a whole 2 grams, as you will be able to see right now, hopefully, on the picture. So, as I expected, the difference won't be much at all. So is it worth it going electronic? Well, for me it is, from the reduced maintenance, reliability, as I've an increased reliability, should I say. As I mentioned in the previous video, now all of my bikes will be electronic, so 2 cross bikes, the future road bike hopefully when it arrives, and the time trial bike already is electronic, but that's on the trainer upstairs. And for me, yeah, having 5 bikes and having them all electronic just makes my life easier, to be honest, because all these RAM group sets use the same battery, so all the maintenance just goes down to charging. I'm waxing my chains, so wear is very minimal and dirt is very minimal, so very low maintenance if I take everything into consideration. So this is my main point. If you want to save weight on your bike, this is probably not a good upgrade. If you don't want to gain weight, but you are a bit worried about going electronic, then this shows that there is no reason. In some configurations it can be lighter or heavier, depends on the length of the cable you are using, and maybe on the sides of your bike too. On a larger bike it could be more of a difference, because you get more housing, more cable. Marginally, these are all very small differences, so in case you were worried about this, then yeah, it's really a moot point. One final thought that I had, since this is a full suspension bike, it only applies to full suspension bikes, I think. So you get things as sprung weight and unsprung weight on a suspension bike. And why this might matter? All the things that are moving together with your suspension, basically they're unsprung weight. So these affect the way your suspension behaves. The more unsprung weight you have, the less quickly your suspension can react on the bumps. And with the heavier rear mech, even though the complete weight is the same, I think you get a tiny bit more unsprung weight, but that's really splitting hairs in my opinion, because the difference is, I don't know, 120 grams. So yeah, I don't know if in the real world it is possible to discern that kind of difference. I'm pretty sure it isn't with this kind of bike, a cross-country full suspension bike. Maybe on a full-blown enduro rig where the suspension is really sensitive, it might create a tiny bit of fractional difference. But then, of course, again, you have to keep in consideration that the part of the cable and the housing running in the chainstay is also unsprung weight. So yeah, that was just a thought I had. I don't think it really matters. The performance is there in terms of shifting, reliability, ride quality, everything you have, and you're not gaining weight, which is great in my book, and I'd like to end on that note. If you want to know more in the future about how it rides and how it performs in the long run and the races, then don't forget to tune into the channel and subscribe. It's all for today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.